What up? It's Jimmy from odds.com. This is a clip from our big Thursday, January 14th NCAA basketball show. To check out the entire show, hit the link at the bottom of the screen. It's available exclusively on odds.com. We move on to the final game on the card, 9:05 p.m. Eastern. Southern Utah Thunderbirds, another team that Max often uses or makes moves in games they're involved with. Southern Utah Thunderbirds, 9-1, 4-0 in the Big Sky at Eastern Washington Eagles, 2-4, 1-0 in the Big Sky. We're at Reese Court in Cheney, Washington. Let's see what we have from a market perspective here at 9:05. Eastern Washington opening up as 6-point favorites. That's moved to 6.5, even 7 at a few books. This total opened up at 153. It's down to 151 or 151.5. We'll start with Southern Utah. After losing their first game of the season to Loyola Marymount, not UMass Lowell, Loyola Marymount, 85-83, Southern Utah's reeled off 9 straight, coming off defeating Idaho at home on Thursday, Saturday. The Thursday win, 85-80, was much closer than expected before an easier 83-67 win on Saturday. You were on them for both of those, cashed in the last one, missed on the first one. Tavian Jones put up 30 in the win on Saturday. You said he was going to have a big game, and he listened. He's averaging 19.2 points on the season. Now we get to Eastern Washington, a tricky team right now. Due to COVID issues, they haven't played since December 19th. They have 4 players averaging double digits, one averaging 9.7. They're led by 6'9 junior Tanner Groves, who averages 14.5 points, 9.8 rebounds a game. But we haven't seen them, and the sample size is small. Max, Southern Utah, Eastern Washington, let's roll.
Jim, the beautiful thing about a small sample size with a team is that you got me. And I'm not an encyclopedia, but I know a lot. And I follow a lot of these programs. In Eastern Washington, they don't get any less love than anybody else does. Not name a team from the Pac-12 or the Ivy League. They can go eat frickin' dirty brejol. But I'll say this. Eastern Washington's a very surprising team because although the win-loss record is not good, they have played tough competition. They did dismantle the one conference foe in Northern Arizona that they played. And to be brutally honest, you've gotten some poor shooting against some stiff competition. So I do expect that to revert back to close to the norm. With Eastern Washington, what's very interesting about them is that I didn't project Tanner Groves to be a double-double guy. I thought, yeah, he's definitely going to get that. He's going to play in that Mason Peatling role, but I still thought that Kim Aiken and Jacob Davison would be doing more offensively. Well, Jacob Davison, we know what he is. He is probably one of the best, smoothest mid-range jump shooters in the nation, definitely on the West Coast. And if he steps beyond the mid-range and steps beyond the arc, well, the dude's a freaking 2 out of 10 type guy. So that's where you want to push him defensively. That's where you hope that he's going to take his shots. I think that with Eastern Washington, it's just a matter of time for Kim Aiken to get comfortable, get going, and he becomes a 17 and 12 type guy. He's a monster three-level scorer. He can guard different positions. He can guard bigger guys. He has long wingspan so he can poke that ball out of there, and he can run up and down the floor. I think that the X factor for this Eastern Washington team is the emergence of Tyler Robertson. Tyler Robertson is definitely a program-defining type talent. I think that he's going to really cement his role on this team. And going up against Southern Utah, they're going to be tested. This is a Southern Utah team that I was liking a lot of overs with because I just felt that the odds makers didn't really have a grasp on the number that would make me go the other way. Well, we've arrived at that day. And to make matters worse, there are question marks when it comes to the Southern Utah team. They are playing away from home, first off. This is a tough number away from home. You can't deny that. It's more than freaking 150 points. So my threshold for totals with Southern Utah is at 150. So anything above 150 now, I'd be looking towards the under. And without OT, they may have a couple more unders on their game log right now. This is a Southern Utah team that has to win on the offensive glass. They're averaging 11 a game, and they should have a decent advantage against Eastern Washington based on the athleticism and the overall size that they have. Ivan Madunic, he's done a fantastic job of playing that depth role for Southern Utah coming off the bench as your big man, giving you 6 and 6 and a block or two. And I think that with this Southern Utah team, they have to force turnovers. They have to be the one taking the ball away from Eastern Washington, not allowing them to operate freely in the half court. This is definitely a step up in conference foes. However, they may have this advantage with Eastern Washington having some rust and then maybe some poor shot selection. That's what I'm counting on. I think that this is a spot where Eastern Washington may have a little more trouble with Southern Utah than we're expecting. I think that the biggest question mark and what is stopping me from adding the side to this game is what is the health of John Knight. John Knight in the game against Idaho. What happened against Idaho State, what happened was he turned his ankle driving to the bucket. Then he came back in, and then he pulled a quad running up and down the floor. Then he came out and didn't go back in. If John Knight isn't in this game, it puts a lot more pressure on Dre Marin to run the point. I think that the only bright side that if you have to play a game without John Knight is that you can give more minutes to Annan Moody. And we know with Annan Moody that he is a deadly three-point shooter. He's the most dangerous three-point shooter on this team. And if him and Tevion Jones go off in the same game, well, they could beat Eastern Washington outright. I just got to figure out what's going on with the injury first. But for the show right now at 12:42 a.m. Eastern, I'm gonna get on the under. It's beyond my threshold for an over. Let's go the other way. We've cashed overs. Let's get an under going. It's a Josh Applebaum under system as well. I like it. I hope you like it, and lock me in for it, please.
And we can lock you in at 152. That's the highest number on the board. It is 151.5. That circuit's 150.5 at Bet365, although the under there is at plus 105. Under 152 at minus 110, available at Circa Max. And that puts a bow on your card.